Let me ask you a question. Do you think that these books, or any other book that you've ever seen, has to be exactly this length? Do you think that any of these books can be shortened and made to be a little bit more precise, even if it's 1%? The answer to that is, of course, they can be. They are not as long as they are because they have to be as long as they are. Which immediately begs the question, why are books so long if they don't need to be? It doesn't even make any sense, because a longer book would take more time and is more difficult to write, but it would also take more time to even read. So it's bad for both the creator and also the consumer. So what could be the reason or the motivation behind someone making a large book, especially if it's way larger than it actually needs to be? Well, the reason for that is actually very simple, but it is also just my opinion. I think that these books are long just because publishers can't really figure out a way to make a lot of money from books that are short. And what I mean by that is, we perceive a book that is large as something that has more value. In reality, knowledge or getting knowledge doesn't really work that way. Just because a book is so hefty, it doesn't mean it is so valuable. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. There is a consistent illusion among all people that more is definitely better or is directly better. And hence, we see like a large book and publishers push writers and authors to make larger book so that they can justify a bigger price. I think this is actually a problem. I think it's a real problem because it's making us spend more time, which is the most valuable asset for us, in something that's supposed to be useful and helpful. See, reading books is actually positive. But what if you're wasting time in this positive activity? And if you don't know what I'm saying or you struggle to see it, just try to notice when you're reading a book and you'll see that the author sometimes makes a point and then he wants to support this point by giving an example. So he gives you one example. After the example, he says, or, and then he gives another example. Then he says, or, and he gives a third example. Well, you've made your point. You don't need to keep saying that, right? It's almost as if they are fluffing the book so much in such a way that makes it so big so that you think that it has so much more value and so much more knowledge. All you needed to get from that example is the point he's trying to get across. If he managed to get that point across even without a single example, then he's made the point. That's it. His goal is accomplished in this page. And I think that great writing, should be precise and straight to the point. It should be concise and it should be like a sniper. One shot, one kill. Kill, in this case, of course, means getting the point across. So what can we do in the face of this reality? There is something that you can do as a reader, and that's going to be a little bit easier, and something else that you can do if you are an author or a writer, and this is going to be more difficult. What can you do as a reader is learn to detect where what you're reading is actually just fluff. So an example of that would be, if you're reading a book, you want to finish it as soon as possible while getting the maximum amount of information and value from it. So you want to read that book, and as you read the author, you notice that they're trying to make a point. And then maybe you read an example. The next example, like I said, they're making like 2 or 3 examples. You notice it, and you just skip over the examples. As soon as you get the point, you skip over it. Because you already have the knowledge. And that's it. That's all you needed. If you feel like it's still not clear for you, that's when you keep reading or maybe reread. If I was gonna write a book one day, I would try to make one example, but I want to make it so straight to the point and so crystal clear that all I needed is just one example. Because if I am trying to write a book that has some information that I want to get across to people so that it helps them, I want to also help them get that as fast as possible so that they can move on and use and utilize their time even better. So I would try to make it so concise and precise. But you know what? I would probably get it rejected by a publisher. And they would say, all you have to say is like 15 pages, that's it? Write more. Fluff it up. They give it to an editor. They suggest more ideas. And this is a very strange epidemic because authors are having to fluff up books so much that it's just so much to read and it doesn't even need to be. So what about that other thing? What can authors do? Now this is very difficult. In fact, I think it's impossible, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. If you're a publisher, listen to me. This is what you gotta do, guys. We are counting on you. You need to get together collectively and start publishing only short books that are to the point. Not short for the sake of being short, but you just gotta make the points you gotta make and then move on to the next book. All of you together. And then the publisher, who is actually a buyer, he gets the information from you and then publishes it, has no choice but to take what you have to give because everybody is insisting on publishing short books. But it's not gonna happen. It's impossible for it to happen because writers and authors also have to make a living. And one person is going to say, what do the publishers want? And he's going to listen to them. You want more pages? I'll make more pages. And then he's going to become rich because his book is going to get published. And your short, small pamphlet, useful pamphlet, will not get published. I think this is a problem with books, and it makes most of the information inside books really just a waste of time. I do believe in reading books cover to cover, but I also think you should be intelligent when you're doing so. And there are information that you don't have to actually read so close. You can skim, skip, or, you get it. You can get the whole banquet in a spoonful. That's the point of it. That's my rant today. I'm finished. But tell me if you agree. Tell me if you disagree. And tell me what I missed. This is just how I feel at the moment. I'm not right. All I do is just share thoughts, experiences, and things that I noticed. Things that I think. No, really, I'm finished.